The knock on my door came at 9:47 a.m. on a Saturday morning. I was in the kitchen making coffee, still in my pajamas, enjoying a rare, quiet morning while my wife Amy was at her yoga class. Through the window, I could see my mother-in-law Patricia standing on my porch. She was holding something, a manila envelope, and she looked upset. Her face was blotchy, like she'd been crying, and she kept looking around nervously. I opened the door, immediately concerned. "Patricia, what's wrong? Is everything okay?" She looked at me with an expression I'd never seen on her face before, a mixture of guilt, sadness, and determination. "Daniel, is Amy home?" "No, she's at yoga. Should I call her? Are you okay?" Patricia took a deep breath. "No, don't call her. Actually, ... I need to talk to you alone. Can I come in?" Something in her voice made my stomach drop. I stepped aside and let her in, and she walked straight to my kitchen table and sat down heavily, still clutching that envelope. "Patricia, you're scaring me," I said. "What's going on?" She looked at me, tears starting to form in her eyes. "I need to tell you something about Amy, and you're going to hate hearing it. But I can't, ... I can't keep this from you anymore. It's been eating me alive." That's when she slid the envelope across the table toward me and said the words that would change everything. "My daughter is having an affair, and I have proof. My name is Daniel, and this is the story of how my mother-in-law became the person who exposed my wife's affair, even though it meant betraying her own daughter, and how that choice destroyed their relationship but saved my life." I'd always had a good relationship with Patricia. She was 65, a retired teacher, and had been widowed for about 8 years when I married Amy. Patricia had raised Amy and her younger brother mostly on her own after her husband died, and she was fiercely protective of her kids. When Amy and I started dating 7 years ago, Patricia had been welcoming but cautious. She'd invited me to family dinners, asked questions about my job and my intentions, and generally seemed to be evaluating whether I was good enough for her daughter. Eventually, I must have passed her tests because she became warm and supportive of our relationship. After Amy and I got married, Patricia became like a second mother to me. She'd call to check in, invite us over for Sunday dinners, remember my birthday, and treat me like actual family. When my own parents moved to Florida for retirement, Patricia became even more important in my life. She was the family member nearby who cared. Amy sometimes got annoyed with her mother's involvement. She's always texting me. Amy would complain. She wants to know everything we're doing. It's suffocating. But I'd always defended Pachita. She loves you. She's alone since your dad died. Let her be involved. Now, sitting across from her at my kitchen table, watching her cry over what she was about to tell me, I realized that Patricia's involvement in our lives was about to take a turn none of us could have predicted. I stared at the manila envelope on my kitchen table like it might explode. Patricia was crying quietly, her hands folded in her lap, waiting for me to open it. "What is this?" I asked, though I was pretty sure I didn't want to know the answer. "Evidence," Patricia said quietly. "Photos, screenshots of text messages, receipts, everything I've collected over the past 3 weeks since I found out what I needed to hear her say it. Clearly, needed to be sure I understood what was happening. Amy is having an affair," Patricia said, her voice breaking, "with a man named Marcus. He's her personal trainer at the gym. They've been seeing each other for about 8 months. 8 months. The words hit me like a physical blow. I reached for the envelope with shaking hands. "Before you open that," Patricia said, "I need you to understand something. This is the hardest thing I've ever done. She's my daughter. I love her more than anything in the world. But I love you too, Daniel, your family, and I can't watch her destroy you while I stay silent." I opened the envelope and pulled out the contents. Photos, printed on regular paper, screenshots of text messages, credit card statements with certain charges highlighted, a small notebook with Patricia's handwriting detailing dates, times, and observations. The first photo showed Amy and a man I didn't recognize leaving a gym together. They weren't touching, but something about their body language, the way they were walking close, laughing, looked intimate. The next photo showed them at a coffee shop, sitting very close, his hand on her knee under the table. Another photo showed them getting into the same car together, Amy in the passenger seat, clearly comfortable and familiar. Then there were the text message, screenshots. Patricia must have gotten these from Amy's phone somehow. Flirty messages, explicit messages, messages about when they could meet next, messages with heart emojis and intimate language. "I love sneaking away to see you. Can't wait for Friday when Daniel's out of town. You make me feel alive in ways my marriage never has." I felt sick reading them. These were my wife's words about our marriage, about me, shared with another man. How did you discover this? I asked, still looking at the photos and texts, unable to look Patricia in the eye. 3 weeks ago, she said, her voice steadier now that the worst was out. I was having lunch with my friend Margaret at that Italian place on 4th Street. You know the one. I nodded, still staring at the evidence. Amy walked in with a man. Not you. They didn't see me. I was in a booth in the back, and they sat near the front. But I could see them. And Daniel, the way they were together, it wasn't innocent. He had his hand on her back, very low. They were leaning into each other, laughing, very clearly on a date. Patricia paused, gathering herself. At first, I tried to tell myself it was innocent. Maybe a work colleague. Maybe they were discussing something professional. But then I saw them kiss, right there in the restaurant. And it wasn't a quick peck. It was ... intimate. What did you do? I asked. I hid, Patricia admitted, shame in her voice. I couldn't confront her right then. I was in shock. So I hid behind my menu and watched them have their entire lunch date. Then I followed them outside and took a photo as they got into his car together. She pointed to one of the photos in the stack. Sure enough, it showed Amy and the man getting into a silver Honda. After that, I didn't know what to do, Patricia continued. Part of me wanted to call you immediately. Part of me wanted to confront Amy directly. But I decided I needed to be sure first. Maybe I'd misunderstood. Maybe there was an explanation. So we started following her, I said, looking at the dates on the photos. They spanned 3 weeks, multiple locations, multiple encounters. Yes, Patricia said, I'm not proud of it. I felt like a spy, sneaking around, taking photos of my own daughter. But I needed to know the truth before I said anything to anyone. How did you get these text messages? Patricia looked uncomfortable. Amy left her phone at my house last week when she came over for dinner. She went to use the bathroom, and her phone was sitting on my kitchen counter. It kept buzzing with texts. I picked it up to hand it to her, and I saw they were from someone named Marcus with heart emoji. I looked, and I took screenshots before Amy came back. You could have told me then. I said, I know, Patricia said. But I kept hoping I was wrong, that there was some explanation. I even went to the gym where Amy has her membership. I looked it up on her Instagram. I asked at the desk about personal trainers, and they showed me photos of their staff. Marcus works there. He's her trainer. She pulled out another photo, a screenshot from the gym's website showing staff members. There he was, Marcus Thompson, personal trainer, the same man from all of Patricia's surveillance photos. Why now? I asked, why tell me today? Patricia wiped her eyes. Because last night, Amy came over for dinner. Just her. You were working late. And she sat in my kitchen and talked about you, about your marriage, about how happy she was. She lied to my face, Daniel. And I realized that if I didn't tell you, I was complicit in her betrayal. I was choosing my daughter over doing what's right. Most mothers would choose their daughter. I said, I know, Patricia said. Believe me, I know. I've been tormented by this for 3 weeks. Amy is my child, my baby. Every instinct I have tells me to protect her, to keep her secrets, to take her side no matter what. But Daniel, you're a good man. You've been nothing but kind to my daughter, to me, to our whole family. You don't deserve this, and I can't watch Amy destroy you while I stay silent. She's going to hate you for this, I said. I know, Patricia whispered. I'll probably lose my daughter over this. She'll never forgive me for betraying her like this. But I looked at myself in the mirror this morning, and I asked myself, what kind of person do I want to be? Someone who protects a lie, or someone who tells a painful truth? She took a shaky breath. My husband, Amy's father, he was a good man. He always said that character is what you do when no one's watching, when it's hard, when it costs you something. If he were alive, he'd be ashamed of what Amy's doing, and he'd be disappointed in me if I stayed silent. Tears were streaming down her face now. So I chose you, Daniel. I chose to do the right thing, even though it means losing my daughter, because you deserve to know the truth. Patricia left about an hour later. After I'd had time to look through everything in the envelope, ask questions, and try to process what I'd learned. She gave me copies of everything. She'd kept the originals, and she told me I could do whatever I needed to do with the information. Are you going to tell Amy you told me? I asked, as she was leaving. No, Patricia said. I'll let you handle this however you want. When you confront her, if you want to mention me, that's your choice. But I'm not going to tell her I came here Let her wonder how you found out. After she left, I sat alone with the envelope's contents spread across my kitchen table. Amy would be home from yoga in about an hour. I had to decide what to do. Part of me wanted to pack the photos away and pretend I'd never seen them. Ignorance is bliss, right? But I couldn't unsee what Patricia had shown me. I couldn't unhear what she'd told me. Another part of me wanted to pack my own bags and leave before Amy got home. Just disappear, file for divorce through a lawyer, never have to see her face when I confronted her with the truth. But I knew I needed to face her, to hear her try to explain, to see if she'd tell the truth or if she'd lie to my face the way she'd been lying for 8 months. So I waited. I put the photos and evidence back in the envelope. I made myself a sandwich but couldn't eat it. I tried to watch TV but couldn't focus. I just sat in my living room, that envelope on the coffee table, waiting for my wife to come home from her yoga class. Except now, I knew she probably wasn't really at yoga class. Patricia's notes indicated that Amy used yoga class as her regular cover story for meeting Marcus. Most likely, my wife was with her lover right now while I sat at home waiting, armed with evidence of her betrayal. Amy came home at 11:30 a.m., looking fresh and relaxed in her yoga clothes. She kissed me on the cheek, that casual, automatic kiss of long-term couples, and headed toward the kitchen. "How was yoga?" I asked, my voice surprisingly calm. "Good," she called back. "Intense class today. I'm exhausted. I'm going to grab some water." "Amy, can you come sit down? We need to talk." Something in my tone must have alerted her because she came back into the living room looking wary. "What's wrong?" I picked up the manila envelope and held it out to her. "Your mother came by this morning." Amy's face went pale. "What?" "She brought me this. Photos, text messages, evidence of your affair with Marcus." I watched Amy's face cycle through emotions. Shock, fear, anger, denial. She grabbed the envelope and opened it, her hands shaking. As she looked through the contents, her face crumbled. "Daniel, I can explain." "Explain what?" I interrupted. "Explain 8 months of lying. Explain why you've been using yoga class as a cover to sleep with your personal trainer. Explain why your mother felt the need to spy on you and document your affair because she knew you were destroying our marriage." My mother did this. Amy's shock was giving way to anger. She followed me. She took photos of me. She went through my phone. "Don't," I said sharply. "Don't you dare make this about Patricia's methods. She wouldn't have needed a spy on you if you weren't lying and cheating." "I can't believe she would betray me like this," Amy said, and she looked genuinely devastated. "Her own daughter. She chose you over me. She chose honesty over loyalty to a liar," I correct. "And yes, I think it probably destroyed her to do it. She was crying the whole time she was here. But she did it anyway because it was the right thing to do." Amy sank onto the couch, still holding the photos. "How long have you known?" "Since 9 this morning. Your mom showed up right after you left for yoga." "I need to call her," Amy said, reaching for her phone. "Don't," I said. "Not yet. First, you're going to tell me the truth. All of it. How long, how it started, all of it." Over the next hour, Amy told me everything. The affair had started about 8 months ago, just like Patricia had said. Marcus was her personal trainer, someone she'd been working with for about a year. They developed a friendly rapport, then a flirty relationship, then it became physical. "It just happened," Amy said, which is what people always say when they cheat, as if they have no agency in their own choices. "Did you love him?" I asked. "I don't know," she said, honestly. "It was exciting, new, different from what we have had." I corrected. "What we had." Past tense. "Daniel, please. Can we try to work through this? Go to counseling?" "You've been lying to me for 8 months, I said. "Every yoga class, every time you said you were going to the gym, every time you came home and kissed me while you'd been with him, you lied to my face every single day. How am I supposed to trust you ever again?" "I'm sorry," she cried. "I'm so sorry. It was a mistake. I want to fix this." "A mistake is forgetting to pay a bill or burning dinner," I said. 8 months of deliberately lying and cheating isn't a mistake. It's a choice you made over and over again. Amy didn't have a response to that. She just sat there crying, holding the photos her mother had taken of her betrayal. After Amy and I talked, or rather, after I questioned and she confessed, she finally called her mother. I could hear both sides of the conversation because Amy had put it on speaker. "How could you?" Amy screamed into the phone. "How could you do this to me?" "I'm your daughter." "And Daniel is my son-in-law," Patricia said, her voice shaking but firm. "Someone I've known and cared about for 7 years. Someone who's been good to you, good to our family. Someone who didn't deserve to be lied to while I stayed silent. You betrayed me. You spied on me. You went through my phone. You betrayed your husband. Patricia shot back. You made a mockery of your marriage vows. And yes, I spied on you because I needed to be absolutely certain before I destroyed my relationship with my daughter by telling Daniel the truth. I can't believe you chose him over me, Amy said. I chose what was right over what was easy, Patricia said. I chose integrity over blind loyalty. And if you can't understand that, then I failed you as a mother somewhere along the way. Don't call me, Amy said. Don't come to the house. I don't want to see you, Patricia started, but Amy had already hung up. She sat there staring at her phone, then looked at me. Are you happy? My mother and I are done because of you, because of me. I stood up. Amy, your mother, and you are done because of your choices, because you had an affair, because you lied. Don't you dare try to make this my fault or Patricia's fault. You did this. News of Patricia's betrayal of Amy spread through the family quickly. Amy's brother called me that evening. I heard what happened, he said. Is it true? Mom really gave you evidence of Amy's affair? Yes, I said. Jesus, he sighed. Amy's going crazy. She's calling everyone, telling them Mom's a traitor, that she chose you over her own daughter. What do you think? I asked. He was quiet for a moment. Honestly, I think Mom did the right thing. Amy's my sister and I love her, but what she did to you was wrong. And Mom, keeping that secret would have been wrong too. I'm proud of her for having the courage to tell you, even though it cost her. But not everyone in the family felt that way. Amy's aunt, Patricia's sister, called Patricia and told her she was disappointed in her. Family comes first, she said. You should have talked to Amy, not gone behind her back to Daniel. Patricia's mother, Amy's grandmother, was also upset. You've destroyed your relationship with your daughter, she said. Was it worth it? The family was divided. Some people supported Patricia's decision to tell me the truth. Others thought she'd betrayed her own daughter and that family loyalty should have come first. Holiday dinners would never be the same again. I met with Patricia a week after the confrontation. We got coffee at a place far from our neighborhood, somewhere we wouldn't run into Amy or anyone else who might judge us for meeting. Patricia looked terrible. She'd clearly been crying a lot, had dark circles under her eyes, looked like she'd aged years in just a week. How are you holding up? I asked. I'm not, she admitted. Amy won't return my calls. She blocked me on her phone. Her brother says she's telling everyone I'm a terrible mother who chose a stranger over my own child. I'm not a stranger, I said. I know that, Patricia said. You've been part of this family for 7 years. You're married to my daughter. You are family. But to Amy, right now, anyone who isn't supporting her is the enemy. Do you regret telling me? I asked. Patricia was quiet for a long time. No, she finally said. It's destroyed my relationship with my daughter, at least for now. It's divided my family. It's made some people think I'm a terrible person. But no, I don't regret it, because you deserved to know the truth, Daniel. And if I'd stayed silent, I'd have lost something more important than my daughter's approval. I'd have lost my integrity. She took a sip of her coffee. My husband used to say that we teach people how to treat us by what we're willing to tolerate. If I'd stayed silent about Amy's affair, I'd have been teaching her that lying and betraying people is acceptable as long as you're family. I couldn't do that. She might never forgive you, I said. I know, Patricia said, tears running down her face, and that might be the cost of doing the right thing. But I'd rather lose my daughter's love than lose my own respect. Amy and I divorced. There was no working through 8 months of lies and betrayal. I moved out of our house, and Amy moved in with Marcus, making their relationship official now that it was no longer a secret. Patricia and Amy didn't speak for almost a year. Amy refused all of her mother's attempts to reach out, wouldn't attend family gatherings if Patricia would be there, and made it clear that as far as she was concerned, her mother had made her choice. But Patricia and I stayed close. She'd sacrificed her relationship with her daughter to tell me the truth, and that meant something to me. We'd meet for coffee every few weeks, and I'd update her on my life and ask about hers. She'd become the closest thing to a parent I had in town after my own parents moved away. I don't want you to feel guilty about our relationship, Patricia told me once. I know it's strange, the ex-son-in-law staying friends with a mother-in-law, but you're family to me, divorce or not. And I need someone in my life who understands why I did what I did, about 80 months after everything fell apart. Amy reached out to her mother. I only know because Patricia called me, crying with relief. She wants to talk, Patricia said. She said she's been in therapy and she wants to try to rebuild our relationship. That's great, I said, and I meant it. I'm terrified, Patricia admitted. What if she just wants to yell at me? What if she can't forgive me? Then at least you'll have tried, I said. And Patricia, for what it's worth, you made the right choice. Even if Amy never forgives you, you did the right thing. Amy and Patricia met for coffee, and according to Patricia, it was difficult and emotional. Amy was still angry about the betrayal, still hurt that her mother had chosen me over her, but she was also starting to understand, at least intellectually, why Patricia had done it. My therapist helped me see things differently, Amy told Patricia, according to what Patricia shared with me later. She helped me understand that you telling Daniel wasn't about not loving me. It was about not being complicit in something wrong. They didn't fix everything in one conversation. It took months of painful discussions, therapy sessions with a family counselor, and a lot of work on both sides. But gradually, Amy and Patricia rebuilt their relationship. She asked me if I'd do it again. Patricia told me during one of our coffee meets, about 6 months into her reconciliation with Amy, if I'd make the same choice knowing what it would cost. What did you tell her? I asked. I told her the truth. I said yes, I would do it again, because it was the right thing to do. But I also told her that it was the hardest decision I've ever made and that losing her for that year was the worst pain I've ever experienced. How did she react? She said she understood, finally, that she didn't like it, but she understood that I was put in an impossible position and I chose integrity over comfort. She said she hopes she never has to make a choice like that. But if she does, she hopes she has the courage to do what's right like I did. It's been 3 years since Patricia knocked on my door with that manila envelope. 3 years since my life was turned upside down by my mother-in-law's difficult choice to tell me the truth about my wife's affair. I'm remarried now to a woman named Julia, who I met about 2 years after my divorce from Amy. Julia knows the whole story about Amy's affair, about Patricia's revelation, about the complicated relationship I have with my ex. It's actually kind of beautiful, Julia said when I first told her that Patricia loved you enough to sacrifice her relationship with her own daughter. That's the kind of integrity most people talk about, but never actually demonstrate. Patricia and I are still close. She came to my wedding to Julia, which caused some drama because Amy was upset about it. But Patricia stood her ground. Daniel is family, she told Amy. Just because you divorced him doesn't mean I did. He's been part of my life for 10 years now. I'm not going to exclude him just because it makes you uncomfortable. Amy and Marcus broke up about a year after they moved in together. Turns out that affairs that become real relationships often don't survive the transition from exciting secret to mundane reality. Amy's dating someone new now. Someone Patricia says seems nice and treats her well. Amy and I are cordial when we run into each other, which is rare, but happens occasionally in a mid-sized town. There's no animosity anymore. Just the awkwardness of two people who used to be married and aren't anymore. But Patricia remains one of the most important people in my life. She sacrificed a relationship with her daughter to tell me a truth I needed to hear. That's not something I'll ever forget. Patricia's choice to tell me about Amy's affair taught me several important lessons. First, that integrity sometimes requires sacrifice. Patricia could have stayed silent, maintained her relationship with Amy, avoided all the conflict and pain. But she chose to do what was right, even though it cost her something precious. Second, that family loyalty has limits. Yes, we should support and love our family members, but that doesn't mean covering for them when they're hurting innocent people. Sometimes loving someone means holding them accountable, even when it's hard. Third, that the right choice and the easy choice are rarely the same thing. Patricia made the hard choice, knowing exactly what it would cost her. She did it anyway because her integrity mattered more than her comfort. And finally, that sometimes the people who really love us are the ones willing to tell us hard truths. Patricia loved me enough to risk everything to tell me something I needed to know. That's real love. Not the kind that enables and protects, but the kind that values truth over comfort. I sometimes wonder what would have happened if Patricia hadn't told me. Would I have eventually discovered Amy's affair on my own? Would Amy have confessed? Would the affair have ended naturally and I'd have never known? Or would I have spent years, maybe decades, in a marriage built on lies, never knowing that my wife had betrayed me and my mother-in-law had stayed silent about it? I'm grateful I'll never have to know the answer to those questions. Because Patricia made the hardest choice of her life and told me the truth, I got to make informed decisions about my own life. I got to leave a relationship that was broken rather than staying in it out of ignorance. Patricia gave me that gift, even though it cost her relationship with her daughter for over a year. And I'll never stop being grateful for her courage and integrity. So here's my question for all of you. If you discovered your child was cheating on their spouse, would you tell the spouse, or would family loyalty keep you silent? And if you were in Patricia's position, could you sacrifice your relationship with your child to do what you thought was right? Let me know in the comments because I think about this a lot and I'm still not sure what I'd do in her shoes.